So this is the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G. Apart from that really long name, it's actually quite an interesting device. It came out originally at a base price of 30,000 rupees for 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. But during the ongoing Great Indian Festival sale on Amazon, you can get this for about 27,000 rupees, including bank discounts. And for that price, you get a 200 megapixel camera, a 12-bit display, and the Dimensity 7200 chip. And I've been using this Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus as my daily driver phone for the last 3 months. And in this video, I want to share my experience with you guys. So everything you need to know about this phone is in this video. Should be a fun one. Stick around till the end and let's get started. Now the unit I have here is actually the global edition of the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, and this is the 12GB RAM, 512GB storage variant. But if you buy this phone in India, everything else will remain the same. You'll just get a different colored box. Now inside the box, you get the phone itself. You also get a 120 watt fast charger with the USB Type-C to Type-A cable, and you get your SIM ejector tool, some documentation, and this really decent quality free silicone case, which can be used for a few months, and then if you want to, you can buy a different one from the market. And yeah, it fits well, gives the phone a decent look. Now, since the phone is curved, the case doesn't, completely protect the display, so be careful with that. Talking about design and build quality, the Note 13 Pro Plus really impressed me here. This is one of the few phones that's actually trying to do something different in terms of design in this mid-range price category. So you have a curved glass back, and this is like a frosted matte glass, so it doesn't take fingerprints that easily. But the finishing itself is really smooth, and you have these multicolored tiles on top, and you have individual camera rings, and around the camera rings is actually metal, which is really good build quality and surprising to see in this price bracket. And the phone is 8.9 millimeters in terms of the thickness, and the weight is 205 grams for the glass back. And if you get the vegan leather back, that phone weighs about 199 grams. Now it's available in 3 colors, so you can get it in this purple color, but there is also a white and black edition. So depending upon what you like, you can get that. And the phone has flat top and bottom as well as flat sides, which makes it really easy to grip and hold the phone, and it's very comfortable. It fits in the hand really well because it has a curved back, and it doesn't feel slippery or anything. I felt really confident using it. I have one complaint, that this could have had a metal frame. This, although looks like metal, is actually plastic, and for this price I think Xiaomi could have given us a metal frame. Now, apart from that, the rest of the phone is actually built really well. Now, taking a look around the phone, towards the right side, you have your volume rockers as well as your power button. Towards the bottom, you have a speaker and a USB Type-C port. And this is of the slower USB 2.0 standard. I feel Redmi could have given us a USB 3.0 port for this price. It'll give you faster data transfer speeds. But hey, the latest iPhone 16 also has a USB 2.0 port, so we cannot complain. But I thought that was something worth mentioning. And next to that is your SIM card tray. And this phone does not accept microSD cards, so you cannot expand your storage later. So do get enough storage when you're buying the phone, but that's not going to be an issue since the base variant of the phone also comes with 256 gigabytes, and you can upgrade that to 512 gigabytes by paying a little extra. Now, towards the left, you have nothing. It's clean. And towards the top, you have 2 microphones, the second speaker, and an IR blaster. The IR blaster can come in really handy if you want to control appliances in your home, like the AC, your television, and other things. Now, the speakers on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus are Dolby Atmos certified, and this is a stereo pair, so you have one on the top and one on the bottom. They get pretty loud. There's decent clarity and decent bass as well, so if you're listening to music or watching movies, it's actually a good experience coupled with a big display. But my only complaint is that if you're holding the phone like this, it's very easy to block the speakers and muffle the sound since you're directly keeping your hand on the speakers. So again, you can hold the phone like this. That's something I wanted to mention. It's not a big deal breaker. Now, talking about that big display, the Note 13 Pro Plus has a 6.67 inch 1.5K resolution AMOLED display, and this has a taller 20:9 aspect ratio, and this is a 12-bit panel, so it can show 68 billion colors versus the 1 billion colors on a 10-bit panel. It's Dolby Vision certified. It's also HDR10 Plus compatible, so you can watch videos in HDR on YouTube as well as Netflix, and I've checked that, so don't worry about it. And it is also a very bright display. Xiaomi claims a 1800 nits peak brightness, but that's going to be in very rare case scenarios when you're watching HDR content. But in real life usage, you can get about 500 nits with the manual slider, and it will adjust when you're in direct sunlight outdoors in automatic brightness mode to about 1300 nits. But again, I had no issues with the brightness of the display. Outdoors, indoors, the visibility is great. And if you like watching videos, playing games, or if you consume a lot of media on your phone, coupled with the stereo speakers, it is a very fun experience. It does go to 60 Hz sometimes in some apps, but that could be fixed with a software update. But overall, the display experience was really good. Now getting to the specs, the phone comes with the MediaTek Dimensity 7200 Ultra chip, which is based on the 4nm process. It has 8 or 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, and you can get it with either 256 or 512 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage, which is non-expandable. And the phone also has a 5000 mAh battery. Now specs aside, talking about real-world performance, I started my testing by running some synthetic benchmarks, so Geekbench 6 and Antutu, and the scores are on your screen right now. But as I always tell you, benchmarks don't tell you the full story. And to describe the performance on the Note 13 Pro Plus, it is fast and very smooth. So opening and closing apps is really quick, and multitasking actually felt really great on this phone. So you can have a bunch of apps open at the same time, and RAM management is surprisingly really good. So you can open up a few apps and then minimize them, and you come back to them a few hours later, they actually reserve their state. So memory management is good. And if you just do basic tasks like email, browsing, going through social media apps, or watching videos on YouTube and play some light games, you're not going to have any issues. Now, this is not advertised as a gaming phone, and I'm not a mobile gamer myself, but I have watched some reviews on YouTube that say you can play BGMI as well as Call of Duty on decent settings with 60 FPS. So that's for you mobile gamers. And overall, I had no issues with the performance. Even if you're a heavy user wherein you play games or edit videos or photos on your phone, you should be able to do that here without any issues. And in terms of thermal performance, the phone never overheated on me or thermal throttled, so I was getting really good performance, and the temperatures were also in control. Now talking about software, the phone originally came out with MIUI 14, which was based on Android 13, but after a month of launch, it did get the Xiaomi HyperOS update, which was based on Android 14, and Redmi is promising 3 years of major OS updates, so you should get Android 16 update technically, but the timing isn't guaranteed. Now, the jump from MIUI to HyperOS isn't that big. There are a few changes like the always-on display, the lock screen customizations, the animations are a little tighter, the icons are a little different, and the notification shade has changed up a lot. But overall, it's still the same operating system. So there is pre-installed bloatware. There are some unwanted apps which you can uninstall to free up space and make the experience cleaner. But there are also some app recommendations and ads here and there, which you can also stop. But once you do all of that, the experience is pretty good. Now, personally, I like stock Android. I'm not really a fan of the HyperOS experience. It's fast, it's smooth, it doesn't lag or anything. I just don't like how it looks. But there is a bunch of extra features here that you don't get on stock Android phones. So if you use that, this is definitely for you. Now, something that surprised me on the Note 13 Pro Plus are the haptics. They're really good. So when you're changing the volume or typing on a keyboard, you get a really nice, tight and crisp feedback, which I haven't experienced on budget phones in this price bracket for a really long time. So kudos to Redmi for doing that. Now talking about battery life and charging, the Note 13 Pro Plus comes with a 5000 mAh battery, and it supports 120 watt fast charging, and the 120 watt power brick is included in the box. And the phone goes from 0 to 100 in about 25 minutes, which is really quick. So if you run out of battery, you can top it up really fast. And I got about 10 to 12 hours of screen on time in my usage, which is usually very mixed. So I'm watching YouTube videos, using the camera a bit. And I also use a lot of Bluetooth and GPS, which is, considered to be heavy use. So if you're a light user, you should be able to get 1.5 or even 2 days of battery life. But if you are a heavy user, someone who is watching a lot of videos or Netflix, using the camera a lot, playing heavy games, you should still be able to get a day of battery life without any issues. So in terms of battery life and charging, I had no complaints. And the phone comes with Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3, and it has all the 5G bands necessary for the Indian region, and I personally had no issues with connectivity. Alright, it's about time we talk about the cameras. And the Note 13 Pro Plus has 3 cameras on the back, with the main sensor being a 200 megapixel Samsung ISOCELL HP3 with f1.7 aperture and OIS. And there was a lot of hype around this 200 megapixel camera, so we're gonna test it out. and see if it actually works. You also have a 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with f2.2 aperture and a 2 megapixel macro with f2.4 aperture. There's also a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now, specs aside, talking about real world quality, the photos and videos that come out of this phone actually look really good. So there's good detail, decent dynamic range, and the photos turn out to be kind of contrasty, so they look very pleasing to the eye. And sometimes a photo here and there can look over processed, but that's how Xiaomi does their image processing. Now, talking about that 200 megapixel camera, it's actually useful. It's not a gimmick. So you have to switch over to the 200 MP mode, and it takes longer than usual to click a photo, and the file size is huge, like 40 to 50 megabytes per photo. And you can zoom in and see a lot of detail. Like immediately you can notice the difference between the 200 megapixel photo and the normal 12.5 megapixel photo that it gives you. There is a lot of difference. And even though it does not have a telephoto camera, you can actually use the 200 megapixel image and crop in 2x or even 4x, and you still have a very usable image. So that's really good. And talking about the ultra wide angle camera, it's a 8 megapixel sensor, so it does give you softer images, but there is a consistency between the main camera and the ultra wide angle. So white balance and colors, everything look the same. There's no shift. But there is a difference in sharpness and detail. So that's that, but there is good dynamic range on the ultra wide angle camera as well. Now, I personally don't use the macro camera. It's average. It'll let you get closer to subjects and get those finer details. But yeah, overall, I really like the main sensor. And you can also take 4K videos at 30 FPS with OIS, so they turn out to be very stable. And the ultra wide angle camera can do 1080p 60 FPS videos. Now, there is a 16 megapixel front camera, as I mentioned, and it takes good selfies. I personally am not a selfie person. I don't use the front camera much, apart from video calls and stuff like that. But the quality from this camera is also very decent. So that's that. Overall, the cameras on the Note 13 Pro Plus are very impressive for this price. And if you like the image processing that Xiaomi does, if you like their color science, the photos are really good. And there you have it. Those are my 2 cents on the Note 13 Pro Plus after using it for 3 months as my daily driver phone. To quickly summarize my review, it has a really nice display, decent internals, like you can get more powerful phones in this price, but the real world performance is very solid. Really good battery life, fast charging, impressive cameras. The software isn't the cleanest, and also some of the little things that I mentioned that this phone doesn't have. Apart from that, for the price it's retailing for right now, which is 28,000 rupees for the base variant, 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, it's a really good value. And you can use credit card discounts and coupons to reduce the price even more. I personally would recommend you get the 12 gigabyte RAM variant just to be on the safer side for future updates and stuff like that. But overall, the Note 13 Pro Plus is an impressive mid-range device. But with that being said, like this video if you found this video helpful, or if you enjoyed it in any way. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or queries. I'll be there replying to you guys. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss out on future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.